Egon.
I watched that again. The new one.
Oh, the new one's
The new one's amazing.
Yep.
But I'm going to say this now, and this could be the opening to the podcast. I watched Answer the Call, Ghostbusters 2016, the one with the female cast.
Yep.
And it's
Bad.
not that bad.
No, it's...
I watched it with the kids, and it's not bad. I think that the Chris Hemsworth character could have been less thick, but other than that, it's all right. It's not, I mean, it's not...
It took me 16 minutes to...
Really?
Yeah, 16 minutes, and I switched it off the first time round. But then, because I know that most of us are movie buffs, and when you can critique something, you have to be able to have watched it all the way through.
Yeah.
I got through it, but it weren't good. I just still don't think it was good. I
don't think it was amazing, but it wasn't that bad.
I like how at the moment I don't know whether you've seen like the articles and stuff. They're saying, Afterlife has made the same amount of sales as the 2016 one, as if they're trying to sit there and be the 2016 one wasn't that bad. It's like, yeah, that wasn't during a pandemic.
Also, Afterlife is absolutely amazing.
No, it was
brilliant.
so good.
So good. I mean, how are we for spoilers with like Afterlife? Because I think if you
say what you want, mate.
Yeah, I was going to say,
listen to this podcast. Firstly, thank you. Secondly, you should have already seen Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you
So
haven't,
it's just come out.
But when it comes to handling the death of Egon Spengler and essentially the resurrection almost, I don't think there's another movie that handled it and done enough. And done enough and just done enough, not overdone it.
Yeah, and there was moments where I was like, "Oh, this could be too much." You know, when it's actually happening.
Yeah,
so this is no, it's fine.
Yeah, it was just enough emphasis on bringing that character back, just for the kind of the story arc of him and his granddaughter. Like I'll throw my man card out there. I fucking cried my eyes out.
I cried.
In the cinema, I'm sitting there, lip is going everywhere. Right, Rachel's looking at me. She ain't a big fan of Ghostbusters like me.
Ghostbusters for 35 to 42-year-old men.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a different type of connection to that film.
I think it was different for me as well, because it was the first movie as a kid where my parents, my mum, dad and stepdad allowed me to watch. I think it was 15 when it first came out, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was a big deal for me as kids it is, isn't it? When you're like, I watched Clockwork Orange, or I was allowed to watch The Exorcist or something like that. Do you know, like
both petrifying films? You shouldn't watch them if you're a child.
But like, I remember as a kid being in school and being like, I've seen Ghostbusters, and they're like, no, you haven't. It's 15. I was like, I've seen Ghostbusters. So that there's kind of that sentimental value. It always has like connections with my parents, and then with Afterlife, with that particular. Obviously, you guys know. Not everybody knows. My father passed away about a week and a half ago now. That the element of Egon Spengler being introduced and the significance it has on the characters involved. When I was watching it, I knew immediately that was going to be my comfort movie. Yeah. When this inevitable time came with my dad, and it made it even more special because I was able to sit there and be like, that movie that it's connected to from the beginning was special in the first place. And I was like, and this now alone, this movie itself is special. Yeah. And to think that now all three of those movies hold such an important memory and milestone in my life, it just adds so much more to the feeling that I get with Afterlife and how perfect it was, in my opinion.
It could be the strongest trilogy, actually.
It's up there.
One of. I mean, you've got. I will argue, Evil Dead is obviously one of the strongest trilogies. but I make you right, Andy, though, because it's funny because it started as it was a science fiction comedy.
Yeah. Well, the original script was set in space.
What?
The original script for Ghostbusters was set in space, and it was kind of, I think Ivan Reitman got his hands on it off Dan Aykroyd and kind of whittled it down into something more real, more earnest.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a comedy. They're both comedies, both 1 and 2. This one less so.
Right, yes, yeah. And that's kind of what I was getting to. Yeah, there was less tongue-in-cheek, or there was less Bill Murray. Yeah. Like kind of, I guess, tone to obviously what the first two movies had. That's going to be
a sad day when Bill Murray dies. Oh God, that is going to be such a sad day.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's. I remember going into Afterlife because I think for so many years, obviously, when we were looking forward to the third Ghostbusters movie, for how long had it been? Like 2 decades
they tried
nearly.
to palm off that game on us as the third.
They were trying to say that was canon to some degree. But going into Afterlife, I was like, I really don't want Bill Murray to die. Like, because he was always, if I do it again, I want to be a ghost. Yeah. And that's when I was like, no, please, no, don't do this. Like, we know that Egon's a ghost.
Yeah, maybe that's why he did it. So
right, yeah, or he was talked away from it by Ivan and Jason, maybe. But, I kind of agree with Andy. One of the strongest trilogies to exist at the moment.
That
without
and the first 3 Indiana Jones films, I think.
You could argue that Alien has a strong trilogy. A lot of people seem to like the third movie now after the... What cut is it?
I've seen it for a long time.
Third
Prometheus,
one, yeah.
Prometheus.
Because of what, Prometheus and Covenant sort of get kind of pushed aside, don't they?
Prometheus is only good once you've seen Covenant.
Yes, I agree with that too.
Go back and watch Prometheus.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah,
exactly that.
I mean, my favourite has to be the at the moment in the last 10 years has to be the Christian Bale Batmans as the trilogy.
They're so good.
They're just,
like
filmmaking at its highest.
First 2.
Do you know
totally
the third one? I heard the third one.
I thought it's silly
as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I just thought it was silly.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's Batman.
I know. Yeah, but they
it's
made
comic
it
book movie.
Kind of a realistic kind of.
Yeah, how earnest it is, I think, But this one, especially when he was like, he's just in the prison, that is kind of mad.
Yeah, that kind of was long.
It's the time scales on that kind of throw me a bit. I think that's what's silly about it. It's like he's in a prison in the middle of nowhere and he's back and then he's back in Gotham.
Yeah, just out.
How long is he in that prison for?
Yeah.
He's got broken back.
Must have a bat wing somewhere.
Yeah.
Just secretly.
Okay. I scrap that. The third one is silly.
I think when it comes to third movies being silly as well, though, Evil Dead is like, because I remember as a kid being fucking petrified of the first. I saw the first one when I was 11. Yeah. It was around a friend's house called Tony Wheeler, and it was another case of Dad's got a film that's banned, and it was like, and I think just at the time it had been made not a video nasty anymore, or that whole 90s, late 80s, 90s thing had come to an end. And so we watched Evil Dead, scared the fuck out of me because of all the terrible plasticine fucking graphics and effects or whatever, was awful. Didn't sleep for about 2 weeks properly. And then when we got Telewest Digital installed, I was
That's Virgin Media for anyone
Virgin Media now. I remember looking through the guide for it, and I saw on the Sci-Fi Channel that Evil Dead 2 started at 9 o'clock. And I remember my dad just being like, I'm going up to bed now. You staying up? I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay up. I remember just looking at this and being like, Channel 27. And I flicked over at 9 o'clock and sitting there watching the start of it. And then I kept flicking back because I was like, no, it scared the fuck out of me before. Yeah. Now I was about, I think I was 13 or something like that. And then I kept flicking back because curiosity killed the cat and da-da-da. And then it was the case of Linda fucking dancing headless, like in the grave and stuff. And then he's slamming her head around the fucking cabin, like, because she's bitten onto his hand. And I'm sitting there thinking, but I was like, this ain't silly, scary, and it ain't silly. So then obviously got through that, puts a chainsaw on the end of his hand. And at that point, I'm like, this fucking movie's amazing.
And that's you now, isn't it, that film?
Yeah, and then it gets to the third movie, because I'm like, now I'm curious. There's a third movie? It goes back to medieval England. Sweet. My friend Ben Goodwin lends me the fucking DVD. And then I just can't believe how, like, it's gone to an almost Ghostbusters-esque slapstick fucking tongue-in-cheek. And I just didn't get it at first. I was like, is this the same fucking thing? Like, is this the same? Is this Sam Raimi? And it's Sam Raimi all over when you look at, like, the kind of the Three Stooges.
It's the comic book. It's so comic book, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, same, like, obviously when I was doing Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, which I hate.
You don't like them?
No, especially when you've had Andrew Garfield nailed it better than Toby.
Very
and
dark
then
and
Tom
good,
Holland absolutely smashed it with the new ones. Like, they are by far the best Spider-Mans, even though they are in the, spoiler alert, all Spider-Mans are in the new Spider-Man. This is not normally a movie podcast, but we'll get on to who Dean is in a second, I guess. But yeah, I mean, if anyone who's been to our studio or ever comes to our studio, they realise how much we love Ghostbusters. There's like, we've got Vigo the Carpathian somewhere. We've got...
which some people have never noticed, and then they'll be here every week and then walk down the stairs and go, oh my God.
He's there.
He's there looking down on us.
Oh, he's there.
He's there.
The sorrow of Moldavia.
Terrified me.
Yes. Yeah. That was...
The second one terrified me.
So-
That was really scary.
There's a thing with the second one is that I love it. I absolutely love it.
I love that
think
film.
it's flawless.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely flawless. It's an amazing film. It's the right level of scary and funny and entertaining. I heard that people hate it.
No, I can't understand how people hate it. Because I remember having this discussion with Marlo, actually.
Yeah.
Me and Marlo one...
Marlo doesn't know anything about film.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure I remember him saying, like, I really like Ghostbusters 2.
Oh, it's
and I remember
not.
just slamming my hands on the table at the Alex and be like, yes, fucking finally,
course you do.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, his excuse, you got it right at that time.
Yeah, he...
Doesn't happen often.
Bless him. But that's a good... And I remember in the promotional piece of that from Burger King, you could get a can that you would open up and a hologram would go on the roof and it'd be like a ghost that would go, ooh, and then it'd disappear. Yeah. And I remember crying my eyes out because it only lasted about 3 seconds and I thought it was like an actual toy that you could keep using.
I had so much Ghostbusters crap when I was a kid. I'm trying to get my kids into Ghostbusters. That's why I played them Answer the Call. They didn't. I played Afterlife, but it's too long for them to kind of get. They just go, and I'm out. But
it's a massive fan. It's a massive fan service movie when you think about it.
So my boy is 10, and I took him on his birthday, and he was obsessed with it. He thought he absolutely loved it.
Excellent.
He just got it.
That's so good to know that there's another generation.
Jump scares all over the place. He was. But
well, I was 10 when I saw Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, I think we must have been around the same age after seeing that. But Andy mentioning like Vigo being fucking terrifying. I remember I think it was the we look back at it now and it's not great. It doesn't the graphics don't really hold up too much. But when he kind of from the side angle and pushes his face out and looks at I can't remember his name now.
But looks at Venkman, I think.
Janosch,
yeah.
That's it, yeah. I remember as a kid seeing that and just being like, fuck this. Like, this is horrible.
Well, it's all practical, isn't it? And we watched the movies we love on Netflix. And the Ghostbusters episode, that's when you find out that it was set in space originally. But they don't talk about Ghostbusters 2, but they talk about Ghostbusters 1 and how all of Ghostbusters 1 is the first take.
Really?
Few or few things. Because they'd run out of time and they'd run out of money and they had to film and then take the film immediately to go and get the VFX done because they were going to miss the thing. Everything's the first
and that
take.
just goes to show how perfect the casting is for that, along with Harold Ramis as well. Like, fuck me, some of the stuff that Harold did during the first movie and the second movie just goes completely like under the radar of comedy and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what you was doing just before we started, Andy, when you was Ray, Egon, like, and just the like, little smiles.
Egon.
That's
in the second film, though, just to let you know.
Right. Regardless, though, but his tiny little tones, his smirks, his
there's a bit
smiles.
When they're scanning, I think it's the second one, or the first one, they're scanning what's her name's house. Oh, no, Watson, Sigourney Weaver's character.
Yes.
And he just kind
Dana.
of slightly turns and scans her as well. Like, gives her a little...
little things, man. You go unnoticed. He's just the nerd that you think is humorless and just like he collects fungus and that's it. But yeah, you keep your eye on him.
So many callbacks in Afterlife for the collection of
shelf.
He's got a collection of molds and funguses.
I sat there and I nearly said to Rachel, but I was like, nope, there'd have been too much explaining for that little
molds and funguses. He collects molds and funguses. She was going, yeah, that clearly he does. It's a callback.
One thing that I was quite proud with Rachel, my wife, though, is when you see his granddaughter pick out the Twinkie. Half-eaten Twinkie in the thing. And she looked at me and she went, I take it that's from the first movie. And I was like, quite literally from the fucking first movie.
Yeah.
Venkman gives him the fucking Twinkie and then you see him eat half of it when they're talking to Winston and then in his pocket. I was just so much great detail,
it's just
man.
Amazing. That film is fan service. And I think if I to watch it again now, I reckon I could go through and just tick off like Easter eggs.
Loads more.
So many Easter eggs. Yeah, we saw it for a second time and managed to see, because I remember the first time around I watched it, I was like, don't see any Vigo. And I was quite intrigued that maybe Egon didn't keep a picture. Second time round, though, when you see his daughter go into the thing, there's out of frame, very so slightly. No, sorry, when Paul Rudd. Yeah. There's a scene where in the background of Paul Rudd in the house, you can see a small framed portrait of Vigo.
Yeah.
Very just out of focus.
Because I assumed that because they don't mention that part of the,
that event at
Yeah.
all.
No, yeah, it's
They
all
just
related
talk
to the
about
first one.
First
yeah,
one. It's
yeah.
like almost like they've skipped it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear banging in the background, which you probably can, we got the builders downstairs. But Dean is over from America for a short period of time. Not for any good reasons really, but
Time
he's
to do
here.
the intro. Yeah.
It's time to. It's time to after the Ghostbusters Afterlife podcast has ended now.
Yeah.
It's time to introduce Mr. Dean Sauter.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Tell us about yourself, Dean.
I am, by trade, I work as an assistant superintendent in a golf course. Excuse the ghosts currently. But also in my own spare time, part-time, I'm a YouTube creator, a Twitch streamer. I specialise in Sea of Thieves content on YouTube. I do stream Sea of Thieves mainly on my Twitch channel. However, I do consider myself a bit of a multi-game player and also part co-host on the Not Another Conspiracy podcast with Ben Mills here.
Yes.
Self-promotion.
A podcast that is recorded. 1/3 of it is recorded here in this
Yes,
studio.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
It's a Zoom podcast, which is
JJ in York. He's York, isn't he?
He's in York, yeah.
And myself in Detroit, Michigan, technically. But
Yeah.
we've got a couple of episodes for that coming up. But like Ben mentioned, I'm here for horrible reasons. But once that gets into the swing of things, I think we said we're going to do Elvis and then hopefully Project Bluebeam, if it doesn't happen before.
yeah.
It's such a, for me as a fan, it's a fantastic podcast. I really enjoy it.
Oh,
And
thank you,
I think
dude.
it's quite like a cool dynamic that the fact that you've done it all remotely. And I mean, is it ever going to happen?
We did one with me and him, with me and Dean in the
Yes,
same room.
we did one with me and Ben together.
JJ's one of those weird guys where he's like, he'll happily dedicate like 4 or 5 hours in an evening till like the early mornings doing a podcast. But if you're like going, we're in the, should we just meet halfway? Oh, I can't.
It would be nice if it's possible. It would be nice one day.
We should do. You're going to be back again in March.
March, yeah. I'm sure we'll be able to find some time one day to do it. JJ, like, really shift your ass, man. Come on.
And not that he'll listen to this podcast.
No, it's really good, man. Like, and there's so much like legs in it. I think that could it can carry on. Favorite one was the 7-7.
Really?
Smashed it. Yeah.
Now, I'm surprised with that because I enjoyed that a lot myself because so many people didn't realise that there was so much wrong with that day.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it was even more so the fact that me and Ben were in London at the time of its event, which was even fucking weirder. Like myself hearing Tavistock's bus go up and also that's interesting.
Power
Street
surges.
Station.
Power
surges.
That's because Laura worked in London as well, my wife.
Oh, she did?
And yeah, she said, "Oh, it's been power surges on the tubes. Don't know what's going on." Then didn't hear from her for a couple of hours.
Yeah, they shut all the phone networks down for hours and hours.
Hide all the lies.
which was amazing how quick they did that. Just immediately, no signal on your phones whatsoever. Don't like that when you think about it, how quick that happens.
Well, we all know how quick it can happen.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But
Even
I
in
mean,
2006.
this government won't be able to handle anything like that.
Fucking, they can just about handle a piss up in a fucking flat in Downing Street,
They managed
can't
to do
they?
that.
They managed to do that.
I reckon they could organise a piss up in a brewery.
Yeah,
I reckon
apparently
they wouldn't be able to hide it for very long though. So when you let's get away from politics and conspiracies because I'm sure it's not. This is about creative stuff, right? So yeah, you've been doing YouTube you were one of the first people I knew
That openly did it.
that did
And
YouTube.
Yeah. It started with a couple of my friends. It was me, Lee, Lawrence, Sam, and Rick. Ellis's brother, Jay, as well. And we were doing kind of like game reviews and stuff like that. And then when I kind of got used to video editing, I decided, and I worked out that my own email account was entitled to its own YouTube channel, which was new to me. I was like, oh, I'm going to see if I can do a few things on YouTube myself. And that was only because I was then getting into the string of editing videos and recording videos and enjoying it so much so that I wanted to do stuff that wasn't just game reviews. I wanted to actually do kind of like Let's Plays and stuff like that. So then I continued doing that on my own, and then our little games podcast, which was called Game Over Man podcast originally, and we were also doing game reviews and stuff. Everybody else kind of fell out of love with it, but Lawrence, who lives in Australia, he took it over and had a couple of friends over there that then continued the podcast, and that went on for years, was very successful. They had loads of different games developers on here and there. But then I really started enjoying making my own game reviews, and bloody hell, at least they're working though, mate.
They are working.
Started doing my own game reviews and my own Let's Plays and stuff. And it then... This was in the early days too, when the YouTube Partner Program was accessible to everybody. Yeah. This was before the adpocalypse. You could start a channel and you could earn money just like that. But sometimes they would require you to have a network that you'd be linked to. That if anyone's looking at starting YouTube, don't get into a network. Just don't do it. You do not need it. All they're there to do is take 40% of your revenue or even more. Yeah. So then I got my lucky break when a game, what do they call it? It's a stealth survival horror game known as Hello Neighbour, was released.
When are you going to start doing Hello Neighbour content again, Dean?
I will strangle you with that mic cable.
No, that's just the comment
it's the meme.
Get. It's the meme, isn't it?
It's a fucking meme now with my channel. But that game alone really blew my channel up to where it is now, around like 32,000 subscribers. I was lucky enough that I found that game early, and it was an alpha prototype, and it was just ridiculous kind of physics that I knew had immense comedic value with it. And I knew as well that through playing the game so much in such a little amount of time, I worked out that the character was scripted, and when you removed certain elements from the script of the game, within the game, the script would kind of malfunction and it wouldn't know what to do, and it kind of added a comedic element to it. And I just played that alpha to death, and as Ben mentioned a moment ago, it has become the bane of my existence now, where I just kept being asked by old subscribers when I'm going to play Hello Neighbour again. The unfortunate thing with it is it wasn't a progressive game in the sense that there would be continuous updates and there would always be new content added to it. It was just kind of like a one and done. And that was my fault, not being educated enough with the climate of YouTube, because it obviously changes all the time and it needs to be relevant all the time. And if it's not, you can force the content out and people might be happy with it, but
doesn't grow, does it?
As a creator, you can, excuse me, I'm not crying there or anything. As a creator, you can only do so much, and you can only put up with it so much. And I'm now finding my feet ever so slightly with thanks to a friend that I made through YouTube during those early days, called Captain Falcor. He's now quite possibly the biggest Sea of Thieves content creator, particularly very, very big in the lore aspects of the game. And he managed to get hold of me and was just like, Dean, in the next year, Sea of Thieves is going to completely change. You need to get on this now. And it has really helped. It's really pushed my channel into the Sea of Thieves community, because obviously now YouTube changed dramatically in the sense that they want channels to focus on one type of content, almost to be a TV show in itself, instead of being a multi-content channel. It doesn't work like that anymore, unfortunately. So I've been quite lucky that I've been able to manipulate my channel, or the algorithm itself, towards Sea of Thieves. Life's been a bit hard this last year, and I haven't been able to dedicate as much time as I want to it. So that's why I started moving to streaming as well, which has been relatively successful. I'd say I've got a small fan base that are very dedicated. And it's very enjoyable. It's hard making content for YouTube when it's needed, and when the content is at its peak, and getting it out in time and making it super engaging with my job and other stuff that's going on. It's kind of difficult, and that's where I decided to start streaming, and how I've adopted a very I'd say it's fairly creative side to my own personality when it comes to like nerd sci-fi geeks.
Yours is different to... Well, I don't see any others like it, but I don't know. There probably are a few.
There might be, yeah. I don't even know of too many that... Don't get me wrong, Dr. Disrespect's a massive influence, but he seems to be the only one that does it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, like but yours isn't... You're not a character. You play yourself in a world that is basically the Red Dwarf. In my eyes, right?
It is literally Red Dwarf.
You're abandoned on a ship with just your viewers
and the robot that
Dave
and robot Dave.
Yeah, and it's just insane. It's just a really fun thing to watch. Like I'll tune in and like watch for a bit and make some comments. And
it's fun as well because like Ben's obviously talking. You've obviously helped develop part of the ship as well, which I dedicated a bar or an area for anybody watching. Like when you switch scenes on Twitch, you kind of like change the background behind me. And because I've got a green screen, I like to make it look like I'm transporting to different areas of this humongous ship. And when we say Red Dwarf, it's a story about a lone human with other characters that aren't human on board a massive mining ship that is just endless with like imagination. Every deck can be completely different because the ship is outrageously huge. Yeah. And I took advantage of that idea, and every room on my ship can be completely different. If I wanted, I could have a bloody ski resort if I wanted, or something dumb like that. But for a member of or a subscriber even, who was the first person to subscribe for 12 months, I decided to dedicate a bar to him, and Ben helped me build this animate like a neon logo bar called Big Joe Buster Space Bar. And that was when that got introduced to the rest of like the audience. They were just like, everyone was like, that is fucking amazing. Like you've just gone and dedicated this one area to someone. And it's kind of, it acts a little bit as an incentive. And of course, not everybody's going to have their name, or every person that watches and subscribes is going to have their like name somewhere or something like that. But each of them have their own characters within the chat on board. Like, I'm trying to think. You've got Kel, like Deckhand Kel. Like Kel Hexbean.
Kel's the most helpful person on the internet.
Yeah, without a doubt. His knowledge for tech and computer-based stuff is endless, and that's why he's kind of like anyone that has a problem or there's a dreamt-up situation, everyone will be like, "What does Kel think?" or something like that. Each person that's watching
Isn't he still trying to work on building an actual 3D model of the ship?
I believe so. Yeah,
he's been doing it for a long while.
But you can't knock him. He's giving it a crack. Better idea.
Yeah.
And I had one kid as well that that I can't. Damn it, I forgot his name now. I do apologise if he's listening, but he was quite an astronomy buff, and he decided to make a PDF file of all of the galaxies that we had passed, and he was just making it up himself. Yeah. And we put it in the Discord, and one day we just read it on stream, and he ended up becoming a cartographer or something or other, we called him. And like that's kind of, although I'm not a big streamer, I haven't got a massive audience, it's so nice that the ones that are dedicated, they kind of feel like they have their own role. And as well, obviously, with Big Joe Buster, like whenever he comes in and stuff, he plays the character as if he's saying we've got a new drink developed, or like Kelheck was like, I want a bacon banana sundae, and like he would go along with things like that. Like it's, I don't know, it's great
role playing kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a great community. Like the Discord's quite fun. You know, I've been there for some people getting booted, which is always quite exciting. You're like, oh wow, these. But what you don't realize is that some of these people that you stream to, which is you do really well, is you talk to 13-year-olds and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of kids
follow your stream. You don't follow them, obviously.
Right. No, of course, because that would be a bit Jimmy Savile.
Yeah,
of me.
It's very strange, like that you have you have a fan base and it's all ages.
It's very interesting as well, because obviously us growing up when we were kids, we were lucky that we were just old enough to understand the digital age, and we've gone into the internet age. So it's so interesting to understand that children at this age that are so used to people that we saw on TV, like that we would look up to, or whatever, on like kids programs or whatever.
Yeah.
Those people could be us, or they are to some of those people,
Yeah.
and they're accessible like that,
Yeah.
and they are interactive with at the click of a finger. They can tune in immediately, and it's been interesting to understand how to handle yourself to this new generation of, I don't know, listeners or I don't
Viewers,
know.
are they?
Viewers, I guess you would call
Subscribers,
them.
I
Yeah,
guess.
subscribers. And understanding kind of like a what dynamic you have to approach them with. And I don't know, it's so much that has gone into it, and you can feel so much responsibility and a lot of times, sometimes when I've flicked on the stream, I'll sit there and be like, oh, I really don't fancy doing this today. My head's not in the right place. I feel like shit. I'm da-da-da-da. And I'll be like, no, let's just see where this goes. And I remember 2 times where I've had a horrible morning with anxiety and depression. And then I would sit there and be like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to stream. I'm going to do it. 2 times I remember doing it, and they've been some of the best streams that I have ever had. And it is thanks to being able to be myself. Like we mentioned a moment ago, I'm myself in a characterized world. And the kids and the viewers and stuff, not necessarily kids, but for the age groups that do watch, okay, they will play characters in the chat, but you can get real with these kids as well, because at the end of the day, they're humans. And I think one thing that has been a very good aspect that I've been lucky enough to be able to do is to be myself on the stream, because a lot of streamers and content creators aren't themselves. They're a persona. And I've been lucky enough that I'm able to break that fourth wall and be able to be myself, and then have these discussions of, I'm feeling like shit today, everyone. And even the viewers would just be like, yeah, I'm feeling a bit crap. And then someone else like Chris is a very great kid for this. He's a long-time subscriber, one of the mods in the Twitch. If you're watching, Chris, love you, dude. He would sit there and be like, what's up, mate? Talk. Like, not to me, but to someone else in the chat. Yeah. And that's one thing I'm thankful as well. It's a small community, but everyone is so honest, and no one's a dick. Like, nobody is a prick. They've been kicked. They've been kicked immediately. We've seen introduction to one kid that got kicked about 1.5 years ago, to which then Chris ended up reaching out to me and saying he wants to just have a chat with you because he misses the community. And the kid was like, look, I was just an angry little shit back then, and da-da-da. And he's been reintroduced to the community, and he's a great lad. And he was just a childish, edgy little kid that thought he could...
Edgelord.
Yeah, just be an edgelord. But, yeah, it's great that I'm able to be myself, and then these viewers are able to understand that and not just be like, oh, hold on a minute, he's not actually a character. This is actually Dean.
There's been some moments on the stream and on the Discord that I've been part of, and you're like, this is the teaching moment is what I'd say. It's like they say, like, they are young, they're like 15, 16, you're like, that's wrong. And they're like, how is it wrong? And you kind of explain it to them, they go, oh, okay. And you are hoping when it comes away from it, you're like, they might have learned from it.
Did they learn something?
Did they learn something, or are they just gonna just say yes to shut me up?
And like I've been dipping in and out of the Discord. Obviously they know why I'm over here and stuff, and all of the messages that I got from them, obviously, about Dad was beautiful and wonderful. And it's so good to just jump back into the Discord, and they're all still talking about things. One thing particularly is they're all geography nuts, history buffs as well. Like all of them, and the discussions that you see in a certain server of the Discord, they're all just continuous helping each other with homework and essays and shit like that. It's fucking amazing. Like that these kids that are just tune into an idiot that just wants to stream, yet they are all every day in this Discord, and they're all like, morning everyone, morning, how's your day? I'm a bit shit today. Why are you a bit shit? I'm supposed to hand this essay in, do you need help? Yeah, I'll help. And like, they're all so wonderful, and it's crazy that I'm lucky enough to have that community, and I only half dedicate my energy to it, whereas I do want to be able to dedicate all of my energy to it one day. But what I've developed, or what I've been lucky enough to receive with the little work that I've put in, has just been magical. Yeah, absolutely magical.
I think that's the thing with Twitch and YouTube, is that you've got to be on it 24/7.
It's tough, man. Like, I mean, I'm a part-time creator is what I would call it. And even that's tough.
Yeah.
And I've got my friend Captain Falcor, who's a full-time creator, and he streams almost every other day. And the content that he puts out with Sea of Thieves is superb.
Yeah.
The lore depth is incredible. And I couldn't imagine.
That's a lot of work.
It's such hard work, man. I mean, with you boys, though, with this, like every day you have to come in, sit in front of a camera, sit in front of like a monitor, edit, break down. When you're out on the field and stuff. I mean, like, how is it for you boys? Like,
well, it's different it's nearly different every day. So it's not like, you know, we don't have to. We don't have to delve deep into stuff, because normally we're given like a brief and then we answer the brief.
Yeah.
Or we're like given we have to script something that someone's already told us what they want it to be. Whereas I guess with the YouTube creator, you are creating something for nothing every time, or at least something you're trying to create more content that's different to everyone else's.
That's more engaging than the content you've got in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've got, so especially the Sea of Thieves thing, because it is quite vast, isn't it, and what you can do with it. But you've got to make someone stop playing the game, watch what you've got to say about it.
Yep.
And then go back to playing the game.
Whereas, it's the game itself is beautiful in that sense, because it's a big nostalgia trip, because as we were mentioning earlier about movies and Easter eggs and stuff, there are so many little things in like Sea of Thieves that are elements of, for instance, Ghostbusters. Captain Flameheart's vigil in the sky is Vigo's, the Carpathian's face in the sky, and a certain tall tale, the Heart of Flame, I think it's called. When you go down into a certain area, there's like a river of lava, which is the river of slime. It's and there's little things that you can do with that in when it comes to like content creation. It's like you said, it's vast. There's so much that you can do with it, but there are so many people doing such good stuff with it already, and to find that tiny little hole is tough. And Captain Falcor, I remember when we were talking more in the early YouTube days, me and him, he just head first straight into it. He was just like, this is what I'm dedicating my channel to. And in the beginning, it was there wasn't a lot to do. It was very, it was very empty. It was almost like a beta of the actual game that it wanted to be. And his dedication and his craft in finding lore within the game without the game holding his hand is just testament now to why he's the biggest content creator for Sea of Thieves, or at least in my eyes, he is the most informative and most creative and the most on the nail person when it comes to content creation. So
with the content creation and the like all that, the YouTube stuff, is there a pattern that you need to follow with it? Do you have to do like a certain amount of posts every week, or a certain amount of posts?
Well, they do say that you need to at least post once a week. I remember speaking to my YouTube representative ages ago, a couple of years ago, and they were saying that a week you should look at uploading possibly once to keep yourself within the algorithm. However, uploading every single day, and this was the words they used, you risk cannibalizing your channel. Now, I've never heard the word cannibalizing your channel, and I don't quite rightly understood what it absolutely meant. And I obviously know what cannibalizing means. It means to eat up. But I was confused as to whether it would, as far as I was concerned, more content, the better, as far as I was concerned. But I had a couple of friends that were full-time content creators explain it in the sense that the risk was, if you was to upload a video every single day that was of a different length and of a different piece of content, it could cannibalize the average watch time of your channel. So if you kept it consistent, the way Captain Falcor does, in immensely interesting and informative content of the lore within the game, the watch time would be much higher than it would if you was uploading one video a day. Because if he was to include everything in a condensed manner, as he does, like into one video a week, people are going to want to watch it. I need all of this information. Can I get all this information in 6 minutes? Yep, absolutely. I'm going to watch that. So then the average that he's got of his viewer time would be as high as it could possibly be. Other than other people uploading one video a day of Sea of Thieves. This one's going to be about the lore that's currently going on. Watch time's going to be high because it's going to be lots of informative. Next video. Tips for new players in Sea of Thieves. Most of the people that are watching the first video play Sea of Thieves religiously and they know what's going on. So then the next video about his tips, if you're new, you're not going to get many people watch that. So then the average of that view time is going to be down. And then so that will then bring down the first video's average watch time. And that was quite interesting. And at least it's emphasis on how much YouTube as a platform itself changes.
Can I ask though, what it's not an end game, I guess. Why do you do it? Obviously you talked about it earlier, the fact that you're you.
Right.
There is no, you don't put on anything.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that's why probably you've got the community that you have.
Yes.
So what's kind of why do you do it?
I think it's my love of it began with video editing in the early days with the Game Over Man podcast, and I think it's the love and the appreciation of movies. Because as we discussed at the start, we're all movie buffs and most everybody is movie buffs, and creating my own documentaries in the sense of the game reviews was just, when I understood how it worked and the possibilities, I was just like, now I can do anything I want. And I think it's the fact that I'm never going to be a movie director. I'm never going to be a producer or anything along those lines, or have the capacity.
We won't be with that attitude.
Right. But it was then that idea was accessible on a smaller element to me at my desk, and I could dedicate my free time. If I wasn't playing football on a weekend, I could spend hours doing that, and I love playing video games. Yeah. And I think it was like you asking, why do you do it? I think it's just I like the idea of creating something that's informative and knowing it's put a smile on somebody's face. When all of that Hello Neighbour stuff was happening, granted, I always get the comments, well, when are you going to play Hello Neighbour again? And it annoys me. But I have had some recent messages on YouTube of people that said, I was subscribed 5 years ago or blah, 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 however many years ago. When I was younger, I used to love your Hello Neighbour videos, and I grew up, I went to senior school, and I've kind of not watched a lot of YouTube, but I've just come back to see how you're doing. And I just want to say I love you. I love that you were a part of my childhood and shit like that. Yeah. Like, I've had a couple of messages of that in the last 2 weeks, and that alone is amazing to think that growing up, there's going to be some kid that's like, I remember when I was 11 and I used to watch this guy just play stupid video games. I like that I've had that impact on people's lives, and it's a positive memory for people. And even if I never meet that person, I know that I've kind of done good in some way. I mean, I like to think I'm a nice person and I'm a good person. All right. But like to know that you've had that slight impact on someone's life, I think I found finding that out, that I can have that impact, drives me more and makes me want to stream more and do things like that. Like I have... Again, kids in the Discord that will sit there and be like, Dean, are you streaming this weekend? Nah, sorry, mate, I ain't got the time. And it's like, okay, no. And then it'd be like, well, what's wrong? Parents are arguing. And I've had it with one kid, and it's just nice to have something to distract me where I can talk to everyone else at the same time. And you sit there and you think that there are kids that are going through that and they're kind of relying on you as well. And you do feel guilty, but then at the same time, you feel thankful and very, very lucky that you have that positive impact, that you can pull someone away from such a horrible time in their life or something like that, you know. I think that's one thing that really, really helps. I secretly know that I don't have to blurt about it or gloat about it to anybody. I can secretly know that one day I'll wake up and be like, I made a kid happy somewhere that's having a shit time. Yeah. Because when we were kids, I hardly knew where to go if I was having a shit time. Like, I had divorced parents all my life, and if they had an argument, I couldn't go there that weekend or something. I'd just sit in my bedroom and cry and wouldn't know what to do. Or did you know you had no outlet at all? So it's nice to make that change and know that I have that change.
It's one of the positive things of the internet and social media is
definitely.
that community, is the fact that there are communities out there for people to jump on that they wouldn't normally. Like, you know, like when we were kids, imagine like there'd be one kid in each class that liked Sea of Thieves probably, maybe, and you would never have you wouldn't be able to go out and meet or likes games like.
Wouldn't even admit to liking games.
Yeah, some like some things you couldn't admit to.
You couldn't
at school.
You just couldn't.
Yeah, like I definitely had a tough time with being into metal and punk and stuff because I was the only kid
Same
in
as
my
me.
school.
The grunges.
Yeah,
grungers. Yeah,
grungers. You got a metal chain, grunger.
Grunger, smelly grunger. Like,
smelly grebo.
don't smell. Some of them do.
So I remember when like I first started our band with Ellis in senior school, and then Macy was like, oh, I want to join, and then like Manning was like, I play bass, and then suddenly like the friends that we had that we knew that like music, it was like, what, you're going to start a band? Yeah, I'm gonna join that band, and then people were scared to do it, but as soon as you get that kind of little community and group. You felt more comfortable. And I remember just all the other popular kids in school were just like, oh, he's starting a band.
Yeah. Like, it's like you're like, it's a really bad thing to do.
But then you started getting attention. And then they were like, oh, really? And I remember our music teacher, we were like, one day, can we use the drum kit in the practice room, please, sir? And he'd be like, what do you want to use that for? Well, me, Macy, Manning, and Ellis want to start a band. You want to start And then that was it. The music, I remember, I can't even remember his name, Mr. Winfield, I think it was. He was just like, oh my God, yeah. And then he ended up getting the school to buy a new drum kit. Yeah. Because kids were looking at using it. Yeah. It was, and yeah, now that you fucking mention it, it's crazy how like closed off you were as a kid, not knowing that there were other people that were like, yeah, I like music.
I think I didn't really, I mean, I had friends at school, like, but they weren't good friends. Like, I had people I talked to in class, but then I found skateboarding and music and that, and then you found the real friends. And then you from that, like, you know, we've been friends, like all of us have been friends for like 20 years, and it's probably mostly because of music that we've all known.
Grungers.
Yeah, because we were all grungers. Yeah,
we all like Slipknot.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're the greatest metal band of all time, and if you say it's Metallica, you're wrong, because they're
so bad now.
They were great. For music.
I was just about to ask the both of you, where did Hellfire Creative kind of come from?
When did we joined forces after the end of lockdown, didn't we? When you were like, I'm bored, and I was like, well, we can do something together.
We've fucking done something in a year, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, this is less than a year. We've not even done a year yet.
No, not even a year. But I was doing a podcast during the lockdown.
Yeah.
Ben was like, you're a producer of content, just let's do something together.
Yeah.
And it's been,
So we did the biggest thing we've ever done. Well, let's just open a studio.
This was year 3, and it was month 3. Yeah.
In month 3,
and it was just like Ghostbusters.
It was exactly like Ghostbusters.
Literally,
We should stay here.
Yeah, we should remortgage the house. Let's sleep here.
We're driving here going, Ben was like, this is pointless. Why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I was like, I don't know. We'll just look at it. Yeah. And it was like, right, let's figure out how we're going to buy it.
If there was a fireman's part, it would have been exactly
the
same.
It's so fucking cool.
I'd say it's like, I've shared a post the other day. It's like, if someone said, you know, like if you're doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And they crossed out work a day in your life.
I saw that.
And you're like constantly, like, I'll
constantly on edge, anxiety, making sure it works.
Because it was absolutely hilarious.
And it's correct though. Like,
it's a different stress. So
I don't know if I can.
Like, it's a different stress.
It's a different stress.
It's like, it's enjoyable. It's enjoyable stress.
Yeah.
Where it's like your every day is like, well, you know, least we're not doing X. At least like this, you know. Oh God, that's
It's
not
like-
happened. Oh, this is happening. Yay! And like,
It's like all those shitty influencers that you get on Instagram. It's like, yeah, if you enjoy your job, you're never going to work a day in your life. And in the mornings,
we
I make my
definitely work.
frappuccino, slow, all of that shit. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, if you actually do the job you enjoy, you will be working your fucking ass off 24 fucking hours a day. Especially, there's no sleep. There's no enjoyment of being like fucking sellotaping your eyes open on the 14th hour of you trying to edit a video to make sure you get it out before something launches. Like, Christ, the amount of nights, like, when I was really up on, like, Hello Neighbour and the YouTube element of things, and this was when me and Rachel, my wife at the time lived in America and I lived in England, but obviously I live in America now. I would finish lifeguarding at 11 p.m. and then I would work through to about 4 o'clock in the morning, and that would only be like completing half the project that I'm doing at the time. Talking to Rachel, because obviously she's 5 hours behind, and then like I would sleep until about 9 o'clock in the morning, and then work up until my shift begins at like 3 o'clock or something like that. And man, like the fuck, I did more video editing than I did lifeguarding. Yet lifeguarding was my full-time job. Yeah, like, and it like, but yeah, testament to that fucking quip. Yeah, like, you'll never work a day in your life. Fuck off. Yeah, like
we work every day. Yeah, and we're thinking about it every day.
It's constant.
And like you mentioned, like you mentioned, Andy, like you were like, we had Christmas Day off. Like that was it.
Yeah. We had Christmas Day off.
That was a good day.
That's a good day. And we had Christmas Day off. Then I thought I had COVID on Boxing Day, and I laid in bed all day, and I like worked from my laptop. And then I was like, and then the next day I was like, oh, I feel fine. I didn't have it. I just thought I had it. I was
run down.
I was so run down.
I'd say run down, yeah.
Because we were talking about it, and I was talking to our friend Simon, and he was like going, yeah, that's probably because you literally had a day off, and then you just went hell for leather with food and drink, and then you like felt like shit.
Yeah, just bloated yourself out, like.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's fun though. I wouldn't do it for someone else. If someone else.
Oh no, fuck no.
But because it's our thing that we're like.
It's nice that you two have your creative control and you're both good at your job. So I think there's obviously there's that kind of enjoyment that you don't have anybody to answer to other than discussions with each other.
But the other, I'd say, there is that. But we, people ask the USPs and things like that. I genuinely think that we care so much. Yeah. Sometimes we might be like, oh, don't give a fuck.
Right.
We do. We care, and we want it to be right, and we want to get it right
every
time, and that then takes its toll.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big
but
time.
You see the products that you release. Like, I obviously look on the social media, like the trailers and all sorts that even your promotional shit that you do for this is just so fucking perfect.
It's got to be right. It's a weird one because we've got this other company that's going to be helping us out with some. Like email campaigns, and handing that over was a bit of a like.
What, the creative?
We didn't hand over the credit, but we had like they have to have some kind of copy. They have to write the copy, and then we get final say on it.
Right.
And yesterday, I think I just put a big green line through the whole thing, going, nope, this is.
It's not bad except for all of it.
Yeah,
why are you speaking like this?
Yeah,
I said I wrote an email. I was like, going, what did I say? I made myself laugh. I can't remember what it was, but it made myself.
I understand that. It's funny you.
Oh, is it? Like, you're not signing people up for a talent contest. It's like you're trying to get them to buy video work.
It's funny you mention that as well, though, because I've had some people say like, "Oh, Dean, do you mind if I like edit some of your like highlight videos and stuff?" And I hate the idea of. I'd like to think I've got very good comedic timing when it comes to editing. Like, I understand how long a joke how long the punchline it takes to get to the punchline, or the sudden cut that's needed to emphasize the laugh further. And then you'll have people like, oh, can I do like highlights reel? And immediately I go, no, because I know it's not going to be as funny as I can make it.
Yeah,
like, and you guys, you guys. I know you fucking understand that. Like, and someone will be like, oh, here's my example. And I'll watch the example video and I'll be like, that's already too long. And I'm only 5 seconds into the video. Like, and
that's the thing is people just don't get the timings on things. Like I've stopped helping people now. Like, really, like people ask advice and you send it to them. Like, we've got a runner that we work with sometimes, and sometimes he asks advice, and then he just ignores me. You're like, I've given you 20 years experience. I'm giving it to you.
Yeah.
Or argues back.
Yeah, and argues back, and fair play to him. Like, he's learning, and he does a good job, and like, you know, and he's learned from mistakes. But like, he'll ask a very simple question, and I go, no, don't do that. Do this. Yeah. Trust me, I've done it. I've done it wrong 3 times, and now I know it.
Don't make the same mistake. Yep.
Here, this will speed up your progression, or this will this will make your life easier further down the line. It might not make sense now, but if you do it this way, you won't have to worry about it. It's like some people just don't want to listen.
Yep. And then it's just like, okay, no.
And it's the same with work. And, you know, consult with conviction is what we try to do.
Yep.
But you're like, sometimes you go, well, I've said this 3 times now, and you just won't listen.
Yeah.
Either it's going to come back in the next round of edits for me to put it in there. Yep. Or you're not going to do it.
And one of the smallest things that I've learned through constructive criticism and through my own, sometimes I feel like the best way to teach yourself on what's good is to watch a lot of content yourself and remember what you dislike about it. Yeah. Like the day that the penny dropped with sound and audio quality, it was fucking like a flash of light. It was just like seeing God almost. Like, I remember sitting there and being like, the video quality can be shit, but if I sound good, I'm going to listen longer.
I think it's 70% of video is audio.
Yeah. I remember that is one of the, if there's any advice that I get or could give to anyone,
check your levels.
Don't worry about a fucking all singing, all dancing, Warner Brothers-esque Steven Spielberg signature camera. Just make sure your mic sounds great. I mean, one of the things I'm going to do when I get back home is soundproof the fuck out of my room, because at the minute I haven't been able to, and I've had to use so much condensing just to try to make my mic and room sound less echoey. Yeah. But now that I can afford it, I'm just going to literally soundproof the fuck out of my office.
Well, then, those foam pads, we've got them
superb
all over. Like, that one's just, when that one's open, it should be shut, really. But it just it just stops the echo. It doesn't stop the sound getting in or getting out.
No, it's just dampens
the room, and it just makes a difference. And it's so with these pop shields, they kind of absorb a lot of it.
Yeah. And it's some of the most simple and most effective and most advanced advice that I could ever give is just work on your sound quality.
Yeah, there's a few things that we've put out that we've had to put out because like it was either a freebie and we didn't have a chance, or we didn't have time to go and fix it, and you're like, sounds a bit off there.
Yeah,
and you're like, and that's I don't think not everyone will notice it, but they will notice that there's something. They won't know why. Yeah, there's that moment there, like, oh, this sounds a bit off there.
And there's people like us that will be able to sit there and be like,
sounds off there.
Yeah. I noticed
it. Should have probably not put it out, but at the same time,
I understand that you need to get shit out as quick as possible sometimes, and it is what it is. But
it sounds important. It's just one of those things. But we've got like 28 different types of microphone in this building.
Fucking hell! What?
Yeah,
a lot of gear,
a lot of microphones.
So what's going on? Like, for people listening and watching, I guess, on the video camera as well, what you don't see is downstairs they're having building work going on in like kind of like the bit in the Ghostbusters where they drive the fucking Ecto-1 into the... what's going on down there? Like, what's being built downstairs?
It's just been tidied up, really. So we did it on a shoestring, this place.
Yeah, so as I said, it was month 3. We didn't have a lot in the bank, but we did... Well, we had nothing in the bank.
Yeah.
We put this...
Is that like is that where you're filming shit downstairs?
Yeah. So it's a cycler wall or an infinity wall.
So this is all new to me. That's why I'm asking. The whole, like, the smoothed edge. What's that like?
if we were to stand you in the middle of that room, not now because it's not been painted this week, but if we would stand you in there and light you, you would look like you were standing in infinite white.
Oh. Yeah. Fucking, I get it.
Yeah, you'd be standing in infinite white.
You'd be in heaven.
Yeah. So the other,
get it.
So we've also got round there that wall. We've got drape that can go all the way around, so we can make it a fully black room or a fully white room.
Fucking hell! Yeah. Like, I've looked at those types of things so many times, and the penny's never dropped. Yeah. But that's such a simple fucking trick.
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. So if it's lit properly, it will look like you're standing in a
like Morpheus in the Matrix.
Exactly.
This is what is it? Fucking Oh, sorry. Oh, no, yeah. I've not even seen that myself.
Don't even watch it.
No.
Don't go
It's
there.
rubbish.
Where's that room that he says that he's in? Like
It's like a loading room or
loading
something.
room.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the loading room.
Yeah.
It's loadout, isn't it? It's doing his
Fucking hell,
loadout.
all right. It makes total sense now.
Yeah, so that's what that's for. And then obviously we're starting to look into virtual production as well. So
What?
yeah, we've got a
What,
friend.
augmented reality sort of shit? Or-
No, like, well, yeah, I guess so. It would be that. But taking that virtual reality, but using the technology from virtual reality to make our cameras work in a 3D space.
What the fuck?
So we can bring someone
Wow.
into a so we can say we can have someone. So it's called mixed reality. So we'd have someone filmed on the green screen in the studio downstairs.
Yep.
So we could paint the whole thing green and put a green mat down, and the whole thing would be a green studio.
Yep.
Put a HTC Vive in there.
Yep.
Put the tracker from the Vive on top of the camera. So the camera would then be tracked in 3D space. Then the green screen, the footage from the camera would then go into the computer, which would be put into Unreal Engine.
Yeah.
And then you could do it. So that's what we're working on at the moment. With.
Jesus Christ.
But that's obviously, anyone that's actually going to listen to this podcast might not know anything about it. But if you're interested in virtual production.
Fucking hell.
But-
That's madness.
Yeah, so that would be the plan to get that done as well. Just as a bit, it's an experiment at the moment. We're going to do a Slay Dougie music video in virtual production.
We said when we got this place, we wanted to sort of try and push. We wanted to be able to
Do
make
anything.
do anything.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
And that's what it is, and that's why we built a man cave. Yeah,
That's
Which is what it
fucking
is, just a
out-
giant man cave.
That is absolutely amazing. I never mixed.
Mixed reality, it's basically green screen. It's just VFX.
Right.
Yeah, but
It's-
this way you can track the camera, so you're not just with a static green screen.
Right. Yeah.
You can move the camera around, and the cameras would be tracked in space, so therefore the room would move around.
yeah.
It's
so
quite
complicated, and we're still
Beginnings of
trying to
the
work it out.
Mandalorian,
Yeah,
so
it's so the Mandalorian is shot with a
It's in a circular room, isn't
which
it?
are LED
That's
screens,
it, yeah.
and the camera's tracked to Unreal.
So it's
and-
it's a very similar production, like you just said,
yeah.
man. Fuck me.
But obviously ours will be on a smaller scale and with green screen and static lights, whereas their studio is lit by the environment.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
there's a screen above them in the Mandalorian, which
Yep.
basically, so all your reflections are real. There's no camera light. Yeah.
There's no false lighting or anything like that.
There
That's,
probably is a little bit, but
Right.
like mainly it's that.
but
And-
still, that's amazing that you've taken a fucking Disney style production
we're going to try and put it into.
and you're going to go, whoop.
Trying to put it in Southend, yeah. The thing is, though, there's probably thousands of people out there trying to do it.
This is not
We just-
Tatooine, it's
we just-
Southend.
We just want to be able to say, yeah, well, if you want, we can do that as well.
Fucking out. That's outstanding, dude.
Yeah. But it should be good for like we did that. We used to do the guys from Ultimo. They used to come and film here, and there's the option that we can take what we were doing with them and stick that in a virtual environment. So we can go.
It's
we
so
can make
impressive,
sets.
man.
So like BT Sport and Sky Sports is all done in a virtual.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all green screen. Like that desk is green screen. Like
Well, it's like when I was working in. Do you remember when I filmed that clip of me on the desk at ITN News Studio
Yeah.
that nearly got me in trouble with the police? With the
Really?
fucking London. I was after the London bombings, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And me and my dad. It don't matter. I can say this now. me and my dad were in the ITN News Studios, and we were working there for quite a while. Saw Rick Mao from a distance. Didn't get to meet him, unfortunately. Alicia got stuck with Alicia Dixon in a lift. She's really beautiful in real life. Anyway, we walked into where they do all the like news at 10 and shit like that, and it was, I guess, a similar set like that. It was all green screen, big like anchor sort of camera that was on like an arm, and it could like pan down and stuff. But when you looked through the visor of it, all the green screen was all lit up, so the desk was all animated, and it just looked like the news at 10. And videoed myself in front of it, giving a finger to the camera or something. My dad was like, "This is Dean Salter on the news at 10, whatever." But so then I filmed that and put it up on MySpace on like my profile page. I was like, look at me, news at 10. Blah, like, but my foreman at the electrical firm that I was working with got an email from one of the top bosses, and it was an immense security breach.
Really?
And the papers got hold of it. They were just like, 7/7's just happened, and you've got this random kid giving it like fingers over down the camera on the news at 10, just complete. dude.
I didn't know about this.
When we used to walk into ITN News Studios, the security on the back, you had to have an ID card that they would look at. One day, all I did was flash my bank card, and the guy just went, "In you come."
Yeah.
And that was it. And I remember being there and being like, I don't give a fuck about it. Like, their security was awful. I could have had anything in my bag, and I could have just gone, put that right under the desk and timed it, being like, 10:05, watch this go bang live on television. And I could have done it, and that was an example of what I've done.
But you wouldn't have done it. That's not the kind of person you are.
Because I'm a nice bloke. But my firm boss ended up getting an email from their head of security and being like, I believe his name's Dean Salter. Yeah, he's being removed. And I turned up to site, got through, security let me through and that, went in, and then Dad got a phone call and he was like, Ron wants to see you at King's Cross. And I was like, oh, do I have to go? Oh, all right. Got my bag on, and he said, bring your tools. So I was like, uh-oh. So I brought my tools, came out of Chancery Lane, made my way to King's Cross St Pancras, sat in an office with him, and he was just like, you, young man, have got us into a lot of fucking trouble. And then, what's this about you with a video in front of da-da-da-da? And then he showed me the email, and they were saying that the newspapers had been contacted, and to sit there and be like, security breach, news at 10. Oh, mate, I nearly got into big trouble with that.
Oh, nearly? You didn't
well, yeah, nothing happened. They just wanted me removed and the video deleted. So I did delete the video, but I kept it on a disc. And
to be honest, it was their fault, though.
It was their fault entirely, Lawrence Head, years ago, a couple of years ago, managed to find it on a CD that he just had in a box in Australia and was like, you will not fucking believe what I've just found. And it was
you've got it again.
I think I've got it on my phone somewhere.
Oh, we'll put that on.
I'll see if I can find it, But, that was, talking about creativity, it was quite creative. But, I got into nearly a lot of trouble for that.
Wow.
That was their fucking fault, though. Their security was shit.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, what a way to end the podcast, I think. Everyone a story of Dean getting in trouble with ITN. They should get in trouble. We won't talk about the state of news. Again, we can't get into that.
No.
But yeah, thank you very much. Is there anything you want to say before the end?
You can check me out on Twitch, twitch.com/Deanosaurus DEANOSAURUZREX, link in the description. On YouTube, Deanosaurus Official, Twitter, Deanosaurus, Instagram, same again. That's about it, really. And thank you for... It's so good to see the fucking studio finally.
Yeah, but you've only seen it through a little Zoom window, didn't you?
Seen it through a tiny little window. Because nice to see it in person.
Last time you were over was literally like the week before we got this.
It was, actually. Yes. Yeah.
It's like this because we were clearing out the office in the studio in the back garden, which was where we started, which is we've just replicated the back garden in this whole studio.
You have actually, thinking about it, and it looks great. It looks fucking great.
Well, thanks for coming, mate.
No, thanks for letting me on.
And that was Hellfire Creative Podcast. You can check us out on Instagram and all that. We've got TikTok now.
We have TikTok
now.
We'll be dancing soon.
And it's hellfirecreative.com, or if you want to book the studio, hellfirestudio.uk.
Do it.